Guys, it's still Monday, but I'm making this video and I'll probably post it Tuesday or Wednesday because I have a lot of homework this week and I am probably not gonna make it to vlogging this week. I am so sorry. But I just had to talk about this. I am in a class called EdHi, and it's basically a training class for if you want to be an RA. Well, today we had a discussion about differences. During this discussion, I decided, during discrimination or prejudice or stereotypes, I picked stereotypes. She suggested everyone say a stereotype that either they've experienced or they've seen. Well, I chose to talk about how when you tell someone that you are bisexual, they just kind of automatically assume that you have a boyfriend and a girlfriend at the same time, which is really annoying because that's nowhere near true. Like that, I've never met a bisexual person with a boyfriend and a girlfriend at the same time, even though I know they exist. I do not do that. I'm a very monogamous person. I have one relationship at a time. I don't believe in infidelity. I don't believe in, personally for me, I don't believe in cheating, and I don't believe in, having two relationships at once, however you want to sum that up. So that happened. And this is basically what I was like, being bisexual, I get all the time the question, so do you have a girlfriend and a boyfriend at the same time? No. No, I don't. And she's like, so your perception of being bisexual is a lot different than say someone else's perception of being bisexual. I was like, yeah, actually, because those people who do that are few and far between, and most of them are heterosexual who have more than one relationship. So, I'm sorry, my headphones are all tangled right here, and I'm just gonna put you right here. Okay. This framing just keeps pissing me off. Okay, there we go. Hi. So, and I was like, yeah, so, and I told the story of one time when I was in a relationship, that the guy, after I told him, like, he was really accepting at first, and then, about a month or so later, maybe a few months later, actually, he assumed that my best friend and I were having some kind of thing going on between us, which she was like my sister, and so that was disgusting to even think about. But he just assumed that, and I'm like, no, that is not how that worked. We are not doing anything like that, and he just didn't believe me, so we ended up breaking up for a little while. Then we got back together, and he was cool with it from then on, and then we broke up for other reasons. But it's just prejudice like that, and it really just makes me really mad. We did another activity where we all stood in a line, and every time they said something that was positive that happened in our life that may indicate that we're upper class, you know what I mean? Like, if you've had servants, maids, gardeners, if you have more than 2 cars, if both of your parents went to college, if you live in a neighborhood where you can be outside at night and not be afraid, stuff like that, where you may be considered upper class, and also where, like, if your parents took you to museums and art galleries and stuff like that, and if you had more than 50 books in the house, which we didn't. Most of the books we owned in my house actually were mine because I love to read, and so most of them were mine. So yeah, it was like that, and like most of them, I was stepping backward, like for all the negative stuff. Like, if anyone in your family has ever been sexually abused by anybody else in your family, if you've had to go to bed hungry, or with very little food, if you've ever been on food stamps, if you take public transportation most places, if you do not trust the police because they are, like, if you live in a neighborhood where you feel like the police are trusted members of society, which I don't, to a point. Like, there are just certain police people that I don't trust, like the ones in my neighborhood, because there's a meth lab 2 doors down from me, and there's a policeman 5 doors down from me. So how the fuck they haven't caught that yet, I have no freaking clue. So, yeah, and I ended up being the furthest back. And I was just looking, and I'm like, there's so many, like, upper class people in this class. But I don't dislike them. And I usually dislike rich people. But I don't dislike them. I really don't. And so it just kind of opened my eyes a little bit. Like, some people were, like, really close to me, but most of them were pretty far away from me. And I was taking tiny steps. And most of them were pretty decently away from me. So yeah, it was very interesting. And then we did a activity where we had to, where they gave us a big list of characteristics like white, black, mixed race. There was LGBT, in a sorority or fraternity, Muslim, stuff like that. Disabled, stuff like that. And we had to write down all the stereotypes that we've ever heard about them. And, like, some of the ones I read for the LGBT people were just so awful. And I'm like, I'm so sorry that you've ever heard these. I really am. One was Satan spawn. And it just, like, my friend Christian wrote it, and he's like, yeah, my friend is pansexual, and she got called Satan spawn one time, and so that's why I wrote it, and I didn't mean to offend you, because I talked about it later. He's like, I didn't mean to offend you, I have to apologize to you, I didn't mean to do that. And I was like, I know, you had to write down stereotypes, and that's, I wrote down a few for LGBT as well. I wrote down, in show business, and, made a choice, and, flamboyant, and stuff like that. So it was just like some of them were really just so heartless and awful, and like some of them for the disabled people were just, I was almost in tears when we were talking about it, because then I looked at the ones for the women, and I was like, there was like the usual ones, bad driver and love kids and stuff like that, and I'm like, one, I'm not a bad driver. Two, I love kids, but I love other people's kids. I don't love my kids. Like, I don't think I could ever have children unless I adopted them when they were like 7, 8 years old, like after the baby stage. I couldn't do babies. I can't do babies. I refuse to do babies. No matter how old you are in my family, if you are, no matter who you are in my family, if you are a newborn, I will not hold you because I am terrified of dropping them. It's just one of my fears. So, that was my smile to differentiate, to kind of lighten the mood. So I just wanted to tell you guys about these. Like, they were really interesting, and they really opened my eyes. And after I came out to everyone, like, no one really ever brought it up. And one of the people said, I don't really know anything about the LGBT community. And, we're training to be RAs. So I told him about Spectrum, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Bye.